Good morning. Welcome to our Nomidio webinar focused in on our identity verification solution. My name is Ben Todd. I run sales for Nomidio. I'm joined by my colleague here, Philip Black, who is our commercial director. Without further ado, we're going to get straight to it. Philip.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's talk about IDV. Identity and verification. What is IDV? I suppose in this context, IDV is really the process of both verifying the identity being presented to you as a business of a customer, and also verifying that the applicant making that application is actually the same person as the identity they're proposing. So that means we're specifically looking at targeting for fake identities, stolen identities, identity theft, misrepresentation of individuals with identity. So when we look at IDV, what are the particular industries that we find applicable for that? And obviously there are many industries that involve signing up new customers and carrying out some sort of check on that customer, but none more so than financial services. Obviously where the business is taking on a direct risk associated with that new customer, and within financial services, any business that's providing finance is at risk of fraud and defaulting on those loans, and in particular where the loan is associated with some sort of valuable and possibly portable asset, then the need to verify who your customer is becomes most acute. So we find IDV most applicable in businesses such as asset finance, vehicle finance, both commercial and personal, consumer finance, and so on. So in looking at our sort of current situation, lockdown and the sort of coronavirus impact of our business environment, I'm sure we're all in slightly unusual situations. This is the first webinar I've done from home. I'm sure many of you are at home, working at home for the first time. So in the current climate of that lockdown and restrictions on movement, most businesses have seen a direct impact on where they'd normally meet and verify their customers, which might be an entirely manual face-to-face process normally. But if you can't meet face-to-face, how do you really know who you're doing business with? And in that context, having access to electronic means of verifying the identity of your customer can become critical to managing your risk as a business. So, not only have we seen a five-fold increase in the desire to use digital IDV over the last 6 weeks alone, we've also seen a marked increase in targeted fraud taking advantage of it being harder to verify a customer. Sadly, in particular, one business that we know has been targeted by fraud gangs seeking to steal assets by presenting fake IDs, and have got away on 3 separate instances with highly valuable assets because their identity has not been able to be verified with such veracity, and their normal processes haven't been able to be followed. So in that context, let's have a look at the IDV service that Nomidio provides. We're going to take on the digital IDV process, which for many people this might seem like a complex IT project or an integration project to include a digital identity process within your systems. Right now, that's probably the last thing that firms want to contemplate. But if you could use digital IDV without having to integrate it into your back office processes and systems, you could be agile and react quickly to this changing business environment. And that's really where the Nomidio IDV service is pitched. It's a no integration service that's available to use immediately because it's delivered over the web. It doesn't impinge on your own back office systems and IT infrastructure. So we've got a demo ready to go here, and let's go through that now. Right, so we're going to go through and log in as a sales user here through the web portal. and we'll get to the dashboard where the sales user can see existing applications. And in this case, we're going to create a new application. So as a salesperson, I can create a new application and go through and fill in the details. We give it some reference numbers, unique reference number here, and we refer to a third party with a particular number that we have set up. And then we're going to go through and enter personal details of the applicant. In this case, you'll notice that they start to get grayed out to protect the identity, which in this case is my identity, so we're holding that off. And put in the other details, email, phone number. So these are typically the details that would come from your CRM system or your sales system. That the salesperson here is effectively doing the integration by just entering those details to create the case for this individual. So we put their address in, which again will be verified against the document. And then they also have the option to select which documents the applicant will be allowed to propose, in this case passport and driving license, and we're going to give them both to be allowed to submit. So then we create the application, and we'll see a dummy of the email that would be sent, which we can check we're happy with, and then we press send, and that will then send the email to the applicant. So then I'm going to log out here, and we're going to go over and be the applicant. So I've got a mobile phone. I am the applicant. I've received an email. So we go to the email client and just look at the emails. And here we see a new email arrived at the top, which is addressed to me and has all the details. Asking me to verify myself. So I then click on the link to visit the web page, and this takes us to the Nomidio web app. Looks like an app, behaves like an app on my phone, but is delivered entirely through the browser, so no downloads required from the user to make this operate. So a very easy user experience. So I go to the terms and conditions page, accept the terms and conditions, and we then verify the phone number. So we send a PIN code to the phone numbers to check that the phone number hasn't been hijacked and is being misused, and that we've also got the correct phone number. So I enter that PIN number, it gets verified and allows me on to the next stage. And it tells me I'm going to be required to validate myself against a document, and says which documents I would like to present. So I'm going to choose driving license, which is the one I have with me. Press continue, and it's going to ask me to take a photo of my driving license. So I give permission to the camera to do that, and then just present my driving license, and the picture is automatically taken when it focuses on the license. I'm happy with that, so I continue, and that then gets submitted and tells me I'm going to take a picture of myself, which again I will take, which has been blurred out again. So I smile, and the action of smiling is what actually takes the photograph, so it verifies that I'm a real person, as well as taking the picture. And then that's the user journey complete. So very quick, very simple, completely guided. If we now go back to the admin portal, where I'm now going to log in as a credit user rather than a sales user. So sales users can't approve applications, but as a credit user, I can go in and see here at the top, this application has been received and has been reviewed by the system, and is now ready for me to review and approve as a credit user. So if I click on the application and go into the details, I get presented with all the details of the application. I can see where it is in the application process. So it's been sent out, documents have been submitted, and third-party review, which is our system in the background, has done its part. So I can now go in and look at the details to do my own approval of it as a credit user. So let's look at the details of the actual application. Again, these have been grayed out where necessary. And I'm presented with the actual documents that have been submitted, so I can do a visual verification should I choose to. The system has done that in the background and given me the results, and we'll see just below the documents, if I scroll up, that they've been verified and approved. And then here's the data that's been extracted as a result of that. So these are the findings of the system checking. It's checking the document. So things like, has the document got rounded corners? Is there a human face present? Is it not a black and white copy? All the sort of things that identify it as not or verify that it's a genuine document, including things like the font. And then the final piece there is a face comparison. So it's comparing my selfie against the document. We can see a score out of 1,000, 993 is a very high correlation. So that's a very good match. And then here we have the data that's been scraped out of the document. Again, this is all completely blurred out because it's my personal information. But this is then available for me to check that it matches what we hold on the individual. And as none of these are highlighted, they've all matched. So that is a good match. And then it's down for me as the credit user to approve this. I have to make a note to say that I've done this. So I'm just going to say checked and approved and say approve. So then that's me as a credit user. I've completed the process for authorizing that. And if we now go back to the dashboard, we'll see that that application is then waiting final approval by the credit manager. So now I'm going to log in as the credit manager. So our process is one of 4i reviews, which is configurable. But in this case, we want the credit manager to review this as well. So he can go in, they can go in and see where it is in the process and review it for approval. I'm taken straight to the part where I can see it's been approved by the system, approved by the credit user, and I'm now going to go through and give it my approval. I could go through and review the details, obviously, specifically here. I'm just going to write approved, click approve button, and that will finalize the approval of the service. You can see it's been through the whole process, and there at the top of the dashboard, it is approved. So that completes the process, and that's taken us through the entire creation, fulfillment, and approval process, as you could do yourselves without any integration to a back office system, and available without any IT integration, ready to go now. So there we go. That's the completion of the demo.
Thank you, Philip. What I would propose is we leave the chat window open in case anyone has any questions for a couple of minutes, and we'll run from there. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So thank you for those questions. I hope you all found that stimulating and interesting. And if you have any further questions, then please do get in touch with us.
Thank you. Goodbye.